And we need to call Phil. I'm going to put him over here. It'll take me a minute to get him up on video, but you'll be hearing his voice in just a matter of seconds.
Regulators. You regulate any stealing of his.
Hey, Jeff Gem, thanks for gifting that sub to Winning
Can't
TV.
be any geek off the street. Gotta be handy with the steel, if you know what I mean. Earn your keep.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, Phil, how are you?
Oh, I'm tired. I'll tell you what. I'm too old for all this work crap.
And if there's one thing I know about running an online business, there's no such thing as days off.
No, no, no. Especially down here in Costa Rica, like the holidays don't really match,
Oh,
right? Like
yeah.
with the U.S., so it's like even worse because like you don't get the Costa Rican holidays because they don't actually match here, and you don't get the U.S. holidays because they don't match either. So
Right.
you just work all the time.
Oh,
Yeah,
jeez.
I'm trying to get this camera set up properly. I don't know. Are we on I guess we're on a delay. I don't know.
Actually, I'm going with no delay. And now I'm
Okay.
just working on trying to get your video up, but they can hear you, so that's the
Okay.
most important thing for now until I
Good.
get until I
Hello,
get this
ladies and
taken care
gentlemen.
of. So, did you want to start by kind of making a statement and then we'll kind of go into questions, or would you prefer to just kind of
Sure.
jump right into questions? I know you've done this a few times, so you probably know what works
Yeah,
best.
yeah, yeah. So it's funny. It's every time it feels like we take 20 minutes or so of doing close to the same thing, and then pow, somebody comes out with some good questions, and it only takes one or two people that come out with some good questions to really have some good stuff come out of it. So I guess let me it's better if I have it sideways. I'm using my phone because I've got a bunch of people in my office right now, and is it? Can you see me okay?
Yep, yep,
I
you
guess
look
that
good.
seems okay. I don't know about all that, but I'm there. uh, so let's start with this. Um, for those of you who don't know what's going on, we found some bots on ACR. It's the Winning Poker Network. Banned some bots, refunded some bots. And we're working to get everything cleaned up. That'll be mostly more of an ongoing process than anything else. But we kind of decided that we wanted to we wanted to become who we wanted to become who we always wanted to be, which sounds like a funny statement. But we sat down and said, what do we have to do to be who we want to be? And said, oh yeah, I guess we're going to have to do some things a little different. So and it's amazing how it's if you read the poker news, if you watch what's going on, there's a lot of things happening right now. Just a lot of things happening, and we haven't had a lot of things happen in the poker world in quite a while. So that's exciting. That's exciting. Um, so what we're here to do is kind of figure out since we are refunding bots, and we came out with I'm pretty happy about coming out with the first transparent, verifiable. That's a really big statement right there. Transparent and verifiable refunding of our bot policy. And then players said, well, what if you refunded it this way instead of this way, or this way instead of this way? And we said, yeah, this is something that we can involve the community in, and it definitely affects them. And it's the same money to me. It doesn't mean any more or less. So I figured I'd take the next 7 days, get on with each one of our stormers for a little while, wrap with the customers, and then I believe tomorrow's Wednesday. I believe Thursday, we're going to put up on Twitter some of the best comments, some of the best ideas, and say, vote for it. Right? It's which way you think refunds should be. How we're doing it right now for tournaments, we're doing ladder. So the easiest way to explain it is in a sit and go. If a bot got second place and you got third place, we remove the bot, you get second place, and there's a new person that goes in the money, right? Whoever got gotten fourth place. And that's how the ladder method would work in MTTs. Obviously, there's more people that the higher up that somebody cashed in it, the the more people that would get refunded. We've had some people talk about, equity spots that, maybe you just look at final tables. Maybe you look at the total lifetime winnings of a bot, and it's if they won 50,000 and we're refunding 25, maybe that 25 is divided by 2, and everybody gets an equal share in the ladder. But definitely some interesting ideas. And then cash games. What we're looking at right now is the total amount won versus lost. Out either, I think it's from newest to oldest, right, in a weighted contributed manner, I think, right? Or maybe that's a math. Maybe that's one of the formulas. You have to check the website for exact details. But whatever we come up with on Thursday, we're going to put a pin on it for 6 months, and we're going to agree that we're not going to revisit this for 6 months, because really, when you talk about fair, is and we got into a long discussion about this at the office. What is fair? If we all agree that an ace beats a king, or we all agree that a king beats an ace, both would be fair as long as we all have the same playing field, right?
Right. Yep.
And that's what we're doing, is we're kind of setting up. This is what the playing field is going to be, and we'll leave it that way for 6 months. And I'm leaving it that way, like that, because nobody's ever done it like this. Nobody's ever done this, and we may make a mistake, but we'll leave it that way for 6 months, and we'll revisit it and see if we all made a mistake together.
Yeah, I think that seems fair.
I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is you're gonna have so much input coming in that to try to implement a policy and then be open to changing it a week later is just going to be a nightmare, and you're just going to end up pissing off more people than you make happy.
And the fact is we want to move on with our lives, right? And get to other more important things, as to how you calculate refunds. But I did feel like this was important, and this was something that a start of people being able to give their input and see that their opinion makes a difference. It's not just it's not just a dictatorship where we just say, hey, look, this is the way it's going to be, roll with it. I mean, yeah, you have to make some business decisions, but we like to definitely put some logic behind it, and put ourselves in a spot to explain why we're doing what we're doing. Mm-hmm. Right. So yeah, it's.
Well, very cool. I know you made a statement, which is, I believe, on YouTube. I'll link that here in a little bit, but I thought that was very well received by the community. I think people saw that, you're like, we're all human, we can make errors, but we try to just do our best to continue moving on and fix mistakes and try to not make them again. So I'm excited about it. I think it's very cool. It seems to me that it's one of the more open and honest discussions that I've ever seen a poker site have about almost any issue. It's pretty rare. In fact, on my stream yesterday or the day before, I was joking about one of the things that I like about America's Cardroom is I know you. Like, you're an actual human being that works for the company. I've played on other poker sites where you couldn't find an employee of that company listed on the internet anywhere in the world. Like, you don't go on LinkedIn and type in some random poker site and it shows like, Joe Smith, VP of marketing or whatever.
That's one of the reasons that we did the cage is we run it. We try to run a different company, and part of it's, I'll tell you what, is whoever said, first to market, right, is the best. What I've found is first to market is just first to F it all up, right?
Yeah.
It's whenever you're, I guess at some point with any business, you have to decide if you're gonna follow the road that everybody else is going down, or you're gonna blaze a new trail, right? And we've made some mistakes, and we're going to make more mistakes, right? The biggest mistake, I think, one of the biggest mistakes I made was I spent a year really not talking to the public the way I should have. That's kind of what got us here, right? Is getting on, listening to the customers, and I will say that it's don't take this the wrong way, guys. Poker players don't make it real easy. when you're on this side of the desk. It turns out everybody has their mood swings, and putting that aside is not the easiest thing in the whole wide world. And I may not be the best at filtering out a lot of the social media and not taking stuff personally, right? Because I'm probably the worst at social media you'll ever meet, right? Like me personally, I mean, I'm 46 years old and I'm on Twitch. Come on.
Me too.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So it was hard for me to separate it in the beginning, and I got tired of it. It's just easier to work, right? It's easier to, it's bury your head in the sand and just keep grinding away,
Right.
And sometimes you don't feel like it's getting with the people you're talking to make a difference. And I think what really changed that for me anyway was when I started bringing people down for the cage. And I'm down here in Costa Rica in my little cubby hole, right, in my own little world. But then kind of meeting everybody and rapping with everybody and playing with some of the players and going out to dinner with them and everything, it really opened my eyes. I said, I got to spend some more time getting back to what got us where we're at.
Yeah.
So,
well, I had the opportunity.
I'm glad we're here.
Yeah, no doubt. I had the opportunity to come down to Costa Rica, and that was really great to get a chance to chat. And it was definitely one of the times where I started to sort of have a more personal connection with you and the team and ACR. So, yeah, anybody who gets a chance to go down there, go down and meet Phil in person, talk to him. You can ask him all the questions you want. There have a few things that popped up in chat. One of the questions is, I know so far it's primarily been focused on refunds related to tournaments. What's sort of the status of cash game?
We're getting some input on cash games. So it's what we have right now is we have 8 bots, right? I haven't released the names. I haven't released the amounts, and the only reason I haven't done that is because if I release the names and the amounts, then you get people looking at, oh well, if it goes this way, then I get $400. If we calculate it this way, then I only get $250. It turns out fair goes right out the window, and $150 dictates the policy, which I don't think that's not what we want. It's so I kind of wanted to put that aside. Let's figure out what we're willing to deal with, how we want this to be for the next 6 months. Some of those may be cash games. Some of those may be just tournaments, right? We'll know on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
I actually told my security team, don't tell me who they are. I don't even want to look. So I don't know, right? But and then at the same time, you open this. We've definitely opened Pandora's box. I've had a few different people tell me, "Wow, you're really doing that? Aren't you kind of just opening Pandora's box and being transparent with everybody?" Yeah, and I think what's going to happen is it's going to be really hard in the beginning. Like, you ever had one of your one of your buddies that you had some news that he just had to hear that you didn't want to tell him, and the first part of the conversation just really sucked, but after that it got easier.
Yep.
I think that's where we're at, right? It's going to be hard for the players. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for me. But at the end of the day, what I want to do is I hope to align players' interests with my interests, right? And that hasn't been the way poker sites historically have gone. What's necessarily good for the players is not necessarily good for the poker sites, where, and we can get into a whole theoretical kind of thing there, but it's a weird relationship, and it doesn't happen the same in sports or casino. I'll put a link in. I did an interview with a big affiliate site. I can't remember the name of it. Met him in the UK, and he hit me up and he said, "Hey, I really like what you're doing. Can you do a quick interview for me?" Did an interview with him, and one of the questions he said is what do you think about the bot problem most sites are facing? And my answer was, "You mean by most sites? You mean most being the ones that are addressing the problem?" because they all have a problem. It's just to what, how transparent are you going to be about what the problem is, and how big or how little the problem is. And I'll tell you, being on this side of the desk, there's definitely some things that you can do to not address the problem.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. I want to align our interests. So right now, bots is the biggest victim of bots is WPN, right? So that was my first step, is putting in a hard penalty for us not finding bots sooner, and also a reward should we find bots sooner. So now I can make investments in security, and our interests align, right? It's, you want me to find them sooner, I want them to find them sooner, and it's, if the sooner that I find them, the less it's going to cost me to do refunds.
Mm-hmm.
You with me there?
Yep, makes sense.
So hopefully I have this big thermometer that, we've paid out, $2 million in refunds to bots, and we've saved, right, which would be the number we've refunded minus $25,000, or $25,000 minus what number that we actually refunded. So if we refunded, $500, we saved $24,500. And I got this big thermometer that we saved 10 million, right, and we refunded 2 million. That's a win-win situation for both of us. And you just don't find that every day.
Right. That's an interesting point. I didn't really think about it that way. That the sooner you, the way this policy works is effectively the sooner you catch them, you're literally saving yourself money.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm making it a safer place for you guys to play. It's for me. That's we can pull together, and it can be a positive thing. Whereas it's always been a relationship. Do your job, right? And there's no upside for it. We just, you go ahead and make more money, right? Well, okay, yeah, I'm doing my job, and and I don't have to give you any information at all. Well, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And if you're not held to any kind of standards, then it's water seeks the path of least resistance. The standards drop, right? And unless you're, it's got to be your own ethics, or your team spirit, company motto, whatever you want to call it, right? Is got to kick in at some point that this is what you're willing to put up with, and this was you're not. And I don't want to put up with it anymore. I don't know how to solve it right now. Exactly. What we're doing is we're throwing some bodies at it. It's hiring some extra people, and creating a ton of work for us. Okay. In the meantime, while we create all this work, and we do what we clean things up, and we clean out our closet, we'll refund as much money as the site can bear. Right? I wanted to, with the 25,000, I wanted to make it big enough that it hurt, but not so big that I have to stop dealing cards at some point. Right. Yeah. I hope I hit the nail on the head. Right. I don't know. we had one question the other night. It's 2 nights ago. It says, what if you find 1,000 bots? I said, then I will get on and we will come up with a payment plan. Yeah. Right. I'll have to do that over some time. And you know what? If I'm sitting in your chair, I won't hide it. I won't cringe away, but if it were that big, I would have to come up with some kind of payment plan to say, okay, I'll release this many a month. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Whatever that is, but we'll get there. Right. And I don't know if you actually walked through our offices. Did you
no, I didn't. I got in, I think I got in the night it happened, but yeah, I missed it during the daytime.
It's meeting some of the people down here at our offices. We definitely develop a culture down here where it's super positive, and we want to be the best poker site in the world. I don't know if we'll ever be the biggest, right? And the biggest is not necessarily the best. We definitely want to be the best, and we want to make the players number one. And this is, in my opinion anyway, the first step to doing that.
Sure.
So yeah, I haven't seen any real questions in the chat just yet. I mean, I'm probably pretty bad at it, but
The one thing I did want to comment on, Jay Leach commented on what you said, saying, and he says the biggest victim of bots is the player pool, not ACR. And I don't think that's what Phil was saying. I think he's saying is ACR loses by not catching the bots faster because they're going to
Yeah.
reimburse up to 25 grand. So if they can catch a bot where they only have to reimburse $1,000, then they win. If ACR wins, if they don't catch them for, oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead. No, it's you got it.
Yeah, so if they don't catch a bot for 6 months and they have to reimburse the full 25K, then they lose. So I just wanted to make sure that he understood what you were saying there, and he I think we all understand that the players lost some money. Like that makes that makes sense.
The players lost some money, and and WPN as a whole, WPN as a company has lost $25,000 per bot.
Yeah.
I can safely say it's at least when right now it's we're a little over $200,000 with 2 bots, right? And that's money that we've refunded players that we didn't get.
Right.
That's out of our there'll be a big red line in my P&Ls that are refunds.
Right.
That's you can't get more clear than that.
Yeah. One another question somebody asked when the last or the latest 8 bots will be named
Thursday.
Or announced. Thursday. Okay, so that's going to happen at the same time as
Thursday night or Friday, right after the poll closes. And forgive me, it's the social guys are handling that. I don't know when it's going to close. Please just follow us on Twitter, right? Follow us on Twitter to cast your vote on Thursday and see where the polls open. And then Friday we'll be doing the read.
Let's see. I think JJ Crowder was asking about Joey Ingram. Have you had any contact with Joey since you agreed to go on there, and how much are you willing to involve him? So I guess he's asking. So you're going to go on Joey Ingram's show, chat with him about this whole situation. Is he involved? If you can answer this, is he involved in any other ways in terms of like helping to identify things? Obviously, a smart guy. Yeah. So
not yet.
So yeah. So you're just gonna. I mean, yeah. I guess first you guys got to get in the ring and take care of business.
Well, it's. I'll tell you what. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the end of the interview, it being over. There's definitely been. That's been an interesting situation. It's first in my life, right? So we'll kind of see how that goes. I really don't know how it's going to go. I got no idea. Joe seems like I don't want to get into it, but I'd like him to see through what's going on and see what at the bare minimum, see the spirit of what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Whether that'll happen or not, I guess we'll see next Monday, right?
Sure.
So it's and yeah, that's I haven't talked to him. There hasn't been any prep as far as that goes. I'll probably be caught pretty flat-footed, and I don't really have a real problem with that because I feel like I've kind of just put it all out there, and it is what it is.
Right.
Right. And this is where we're at. I don't want to look too far in the future. Right. Let's look at what we can do. I also definitely don't want to overpromise to anybody. It's what we can and what we can't do.
Right.
Right now I'm throwing bodies at the situation. I've got 15 new trainees that we're training right now, and we're working hard to clean things up. I saw somebody said, what's the plan? I saw some bots that are that I thought some people that were bots that I don't see their screen names anymore. I can't remember who it was. I apologize.
Oh yeah, I saw
that. There's definitely some accounts under investigation. As a matter of fact, I don't want to talk about investigations, but two people I know personally, right? We're under an investigation, and they hit me up, said, "What the hell?" I said, "Go. This is go to security, right? And it's go through the steps, right? Because just as well as we got to get good at recognizing bots, we have to get just as good at recognizing non-bots, right? Because it's for those of you guys who make a living playing poker, I realize we're messing with your livelihood, and I don't want to make mistakes there, but at the same time, there's a fine line, right?
Yep.
Um,
Luckily, I'm always
so
on camera when I'm playing, so I'm
see,
safe. I can never be accused of being a bot.
well, I mean, it's you also have to be a winner. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just
No, you're not wrong about
quick
that.
jab.
Somebody asked about, it's a little off topic, but that's fine. We can get into
Sure.
some other topics. Somebody asked about seeding scripts. I don't play cash games, so that's not something I'm super familiar with. I know what they are. I understand how they work,
Yeah.
but is that something that's allowed on ACR? And if so, is it going to stay allowed?
So it's in our terms and conditions right now. Is seating scripts say that as long as you're not targeting specific players, right? So if you're there's seating scripts where you say, I want to play 4 tables, and I just want to play 4 tables all the time of 1-2, right? And as soon as a table breaks or you close a table, it sits you out into another one. I guess stars ban seating scripts altogether, and parties. Go. You can go to Poker Fuse and read the party news, right? I don't want to even get into that right now. But definitely ask some of those questions. It's right. So let's get into seating scripts. Stay tuned for another day, right, where we address seating scripts, and maybe it'll be a week-long thing where I take a half an hour and I get on with a bunch of the stormers and I talk to the cash game stormer guys and say, hey, what do you think about seating scripts? What should be allowed? What should not be allowed? Right. I know like there's been also a trend in the industry is banning HUDs. Right. I'll tell you, it's people who don't understand HUDs. Right. They definitely fear them because they're all these creepy, weird numbers that are sitting on your table, and I don't know what they mean. Right.
Yeah.
So you've got to be cheating in some way, shape, or form.
Right. Yeah. I get a lot of people who say, "Oh, you got a number, or you got that program that tells you what to do," and I'm like, "No, that's not how it works."
Yeah. And then I ask myself, so it's people like the commonality for a lot of this is leveling the playing field, right? What does that even mean in poker? Right? It's poker is not about leveling the playing field. It's about who can get better faster. Like let's face it, poker wouldn't be poker if there wasn't winners and losers.
Right.
If the rake just won every time, it would suck.
Yeah.
Right.
And
So,
then what do you do? Ban books and trainings? Like
yeah.
you're not allowed to get better at the game, guys. Sorry.
So that's this is the debate. This is one of the debates we were having in the office this morning, and it actually got pretty heated, and we had to agree to disagree and revisit it later, because I says so why doesn't a live card room look to level the playing field?
Yeah.
So you walk into a live poker room. It's not like they say, "Oh, you've never played before. You shouldn't sit at that 10-20 game. You should sit at the 1-2 game." That doesn't happen. You say you want to sit 10-20, and they sit you at 10-20, and you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right. It's buyer beware, I guess. Now can a site do some things to educate their customers as they come in? For sure. Right. Can they say, hey, here's the things you need to look out for. Here's you're entering the world of online poker, and these are the things that you should be doing, right? Or I'm a veteran and I know what I'm doing, right? It's leave me alone. Mm-hmm. After that, it's nobody talks about leveling the playing field in the casino or sports.
Right.
Right. They don't say, oh no, that's a bad line. You shouldn't. That's the big is too big on that. You shouldn't bet that. Right? Why? Because that goes to the house.
Yeah. And the skill of that is looking for the best lines. Like that's the point.
There you go. Right? And so I don't understand why taking away. You know what? if I don't like the win rates that poker players have, rather than banning HUDs, I'm going to make 80 big blind max buy-in in cash games. Right? I'm going to take a minute off the blinds and have 1,000 less starting chips in tournaments. That's going to raise the variance, and tournaments are going to happen faster, and winning player and there'll be less skill involved.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I know enough about the game that I can if I don't like the hold on the game, if the house isn't making a living, then I'll change the game. Right. And you guys as players, you either accept that I've started serving a new game, or I don't. Banning HUDs, I mean, definitely you can make a case for it. Is it right? I don't know. It's you guys tell me.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know what people think. I mean, I don't see anybody. I think most of the people who hang out on Twitch understand the point of HUDs and get it, and probably isn't going to be an issue. But I bet I'm sure if you asked your average sort of, dude at the casino in, I don't know, Idaho or something, he might be anti-HUD, but I think most online players get it.
Yeah, well, it's definitely what's crazy about online poker, and I've talked to some of the guys that come down here with the cage with this. It's really funny. Like, it's hard to become a poker player today. Like, if you're just entering the game, it's so many people have been playing poker for so long. The skill level is much higher than it ever was before, right?
Yeah.
And really getting people up to speed. Like imagine it's almost like it's new people to poker. And I'll tell you, there's no CEO for any poker site should ever be saying this. Right? Go read some poker books. Go. Take your time. Start at the smallest stakes. Play some free rolls. It's build up your confidence. Right? Absolutely. Before you put money on. Right? Because the fact is for newer players, you really do have a better shot at the slot machines than you do sitting at a poker table, unless you know what you're doing. Yeah. Right. So, gamble responsibly, right? It'll cost you some money to learn. That's again, why we have free rolls pretty regularly. And actually it's probably the longest running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week free rolls of anybody. Right. Nobody else has on demand.
So. I mean, especially these free Venom satellites are ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, those are pretty amazing. But like the on-demand free rolls, I think we've had those for like 6 years and never not had them.
Yeah.
So I'm realizing, wow, we should probably go to like Guinness and say, hey, it's longest running free rolls ever. Yeah. But we put those there so that people can learn, right? And you can learn for free. It's imagine if for those of you who've seen the TV series Lost, imagine jumping into season 3 without that story so far at the beginning of Lost. That's like a new guy sitting down to play poker for the very first time. That's got to be pretty rough, right?
Yeah.
So
one question that popped up, somebody mentioned something about the time banks being too short. I don't know if that's ever something you hear often. I haven't really heard that before, but they seem fine to me. But has that something that's come up before or been discussed?
Okay, no, I've never had anybody. Are you playing too many tables?
I guess maybe the thing they mean is that once you've used up your time bank, you're kind of screwed. So maybe adding time as the tournament goes on, type situation.
That's one of the things. So that's one of the things we've talked about is going to our new V2 software. I think I want to go to a format where maybe we present it's to on some of these Twitch channels, and we say, okay, here's our potential backlog. Here we can look to release, and we could do this many things for this next 2 weeks, and kind of present that to everybody in a video format. Get your feedback, and then a week later we go to town, and this is what we're going to deliver for the next 2 weeks or the next month. And maybe time banks would be one of those things. If players say, "Oh no, time banks are fine. Don't worry about it. This is more important," right? Then we'll do that. And that's one of the things. We have this big potential backlog list of things that we'd like to do. Like one of them, it's where a lot of that goes for is like is replenishing your time bank, starting the time banks with less time, but it replenishes every hand as you go forward, kind of like it does in cash games, and then giving you a brand new time bank when you get to a final table, right? And then replenishing it as well. How important is that versus progressive knockouts?
If I had to vote, bring on the progressive knockouts. It's on my list here that that I wrote down before the conversation.
Right. So that's what I'm saying is like kind of getting it out there to the public and saying, which do you want more? Right? We can do one of the two. I want this one first and that one second. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm into that. Hopefully that we can end up coming up with a format that works really, really well.
Yeah. So PKOs are in the plans.
Yep. It's so just to give you guys an idea, right? Our V2 has been almost 2.5 years in the making. Wow, like that's a long time. It was supposed to be 8 months. Yeah, been a long time.
Wow.
To give you a quick idea of what our V2 is going to mean to us is for the 12 people that played Sit and Go 2.0s. We spent about 8 months developing that because I felt pretty strongly about it and I wanted to make Sit and Go sexy again. Didn't work. Sit and Goes are still just as boring as they've ever been.
But man, were they a blast live at the
right?
Punta Cana?
Oh yeah, they were amazing live. Sit and Go 2.0. That was my whole marketing theory. Is we copyrighted it and made the game and everything, and it's put out ebooks, and we wanted to give them casinos, and it was the whole idea was like craps. Is one of the reasons craps is such a social game is because people start jumping around and people start winning and you create that excitement. And I just imagined a couple of Sit and Go 2.0 tables sitting in a poker room, and all of a sudden it's you're flipping over that fourth card and you got people cheering that good things are happening.
Yeah.
And we'd attract new people to poker, and I was going to give it to casinos for free, right? Just call it Sit and Go 2.0. Right?
Yeah,
that's fine. That was my marketing plan. But yeah, Sit and Go's still hard. Anyway, but the fact of the matter is that took us 8 months to develop, and in our new software platform, something like that is going to take us around 3 weeks. So 8 months, 3 weeks. Progressive knockouts will be easy. Blitz poker, which is our version of Zoom / Rush poker, whatever you want to call it. It took from the day they started coding it to the day we delivered the product that we have in the beta it took almost 6 weeks.
Okay. Seems reasonable.
So it puts it into perspective, right? It's with the new platform that we developed it exactly this way so that we can put out product for you guys and try to keep poker exciting.
That's cool.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
And again, we'll be able to do stuff like with game integrity, with game security, that was just really, really hard for you computer geeks out there. Old code is hard, right? It's technical debt is just like it's a pain.
Yeah. Somebody wants to know if there's a possibility of implementing final table deal making.
Yes, there will be.
There will be.
Nice. There will be. It's like I said, right now. So right now, I want to get V2 launched. I want to get it out and make it stable. As a matter of fact, is when you download the beta version and you look at it, it looks very, very similar to what ours looks like right now. Because in the background, when you put out something like that, there's a whole bunch of stuff that you forget when you have a huge development project like this, and you don't know. I mean, when you're moving a business, it's with the 7th biggest poker site on the planet, and you're moving to a new software platform. That is a big project, right?
Yeah.
So moving it over, I wanted to impact the customers as little as possible. I didn't want to implement a whole new UI and a whole bunch of features that nobody knows what they do and everything. So I kind of just copied what we have And my developers weren't real happy about that. They said, "Oh, we've got all this new stuff that we can do," and da 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 da. I said, "You know what? If it takes us 3 weeks to do something like Sit and Go 2.0, if it takes 4 weeks to do like something like a Zoom poker or Blitz poker, let's just launch it this way, and we can release something twice a month."
Yeah.
Right.
That'll be sick.
Yeah, and the fact is first I want to get it stable, right, and comparable with what we have. From there, we'll make it great.
Yep, that makes sense. Somebody asked about again, this is not a format of poker that I play, so I don't know about this, but the removal of heads-up PLO tables.
Yeah.
I think
It's got rid of heads up PLO, and I believe we got rid of heads up Hold'em as well. It's winning TD. It's I said I looked at heads up, and there was nothing good happening there, right? It's the fact is there's just 15 guys, 20 guys sitting there waiting for action, right? Mm-hmm. And it's bad for business. I wasn't willing to rake it like $3 a hand, right? To make it profitable. The win rates are really, really big on heads up. I love the idea of having heads up. I've actually got a few ideas for heads up tournament formats. That was more of a money issue than anything else, right? It cost me so much for somebody to deposit $1,000, and I was not getting the rake back out of it, right? And it wasn't a matter that regs were playing versus regs. It was really a matter of bum hunting.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why I got rid of it.
Sort of a predatory situation.
Left. Yeah. So some customers left. That's fine, right? It's pay them their money. It's their money.
Yeah.
Right? Again, if I know enough about the game that if I don't like the game, I'll change the game, and that's what happened with Heads Up. And in my own ethics, I just can't see myself, raking it $3 a hand to make it make sense. Mm-hmm. That seems like cheaty and bad.
Right. Any plans to adjust the late reg period?
The day you guys don't like bigger guarantees?
Yep. I had a feeling that was going to be the exact answer. I personally don't have a problem with it because I grind a lot of hours. But I guess I can see some argument from the casual guy who gets home from work and.
I'll tell you what, we put up a bunch of the Turbo 10 and the hour late reg. It's more of a turbo tournament, and we couldn't ever get it off the ground. Yeah. It didn't have the same attraction, and it's what are we trying to here's a question, and this is the way I like to approach things, and it's with longer late reg. It's you want to shorten the late reg. What's the problem you're trying to solve?
Yeah, I guess
by shortening late reg. What's the problem that we're trying to solve?
I guess basically trying to cater to a more time sensitive recreational player.
So,
but it's only a problem to them, I guess.
Well, I'll tell you, so if 1,000 people enter in the first 1 minute of the tournament, and late registration closes, and there's 6 hours late registration, and it takes 6 hours for 1,000 people to get in the tournament. The final table is going to happen at the same time. Yeah. Because there's the same amount of chips, the stacks to pot ratio, or the big blinds per stack is going to be exactly the same, and the tournament's going to last exactly the same.
Right. That's a good point.
Right. So we have talked about having effective stacks and building up making some tournaments. I've talked to the winning TD, maybe starting with 80 big blinds or 110 big blinds, and having the end of late registration being call it 20 big blinds ish, right? And it's bringing it back like an hour, or making it less of a 200 big blinds or 250 big blinds at the beginning of a tournament. So it there's more incentive to register early, right? Because there's There's the stacks are going to flip a lot faster if you only start with 80 big blinds, right? And make it a little bit more progressive, right? It's not such a steep structure, I guess.
Yeah.
We've talked about, it's changing some of that stuff. But yeah, that's what's the problem that we're trying to solve. It's not going to make the tournament shorter, right?
Right.
Four bullets. Yeah. You know what? I absolutely could have put a setting, right? Is in the software. Don't offer me reentries. You know what's going to happen? The first time you bust in the second hand, you're going to go turn that off and re-enter.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Right. And even the biggest sites in the world have moved to the re-entries, right?
Yeah.
It's because everybody demands the bigger prize pools.
Right. Seems pretty standard at this point. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like sort of a weird idea, but one of my loyal viewers suggested this, and at first I was kind of like, why? And then I was like, wait, that might be the greatest idea I've ever heard, and that is to have you have 5-minute breaks every hour in tournaments, to have a slightly longer break once a night, so say 7:30 Eastern perhaps for dinner. But I'm not talking an hour-long break. I'm talking like maybe 10 minutes instead of 5 minutes. It'd be amazing.
I have to. You're killing me. So one of the things that we implemented for the Venom, right? That we're going to debut. That you just we're letting all this wind out of my sails. Is we're going to have 2 20-minute breaks, right? In the Venom.
Wow.
It's for the specifically for that, because there's 6 hours of late reg and you're playing some of the highest stakes that you've ever played, and we're giving that we're gonna have that. So that's already done. We were just not going to debut it until our big $5 million tournament.
Yeah.
And now there's nothing special about it, so I might as well just cancel the tournament.
That's it. Get rid of it. If you're in a step 6 right now, get out.
Yeah. Well, it's but that's like I think stuff like that is super cool that we're going to have the flexibility to do some of that stuff.
Yeah.
I love the idea of a dinner break, that the maybe doing it twice a day, right? Is once for the East Coast, and then once for the late at night guys, right?
Yeah.
It's probably cash game guys are like, yes, make it 20 minutes, because then they're going to come play cash for 15 because they're bored.
I mainly just want them because I have dogs, and it's really hard in a 5-minute break to use the restroom, get a quick bite to eat, and walk the dogs. It's nearly impossible.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's funny that we didn't used to have synchronized breaks, and that had to be hell.
Yeah,
because it took us a while to get synchronized breaks, and it was I remember complaining about it, because it was, seriously, we have to spend like 6 weeks of development to get synchronized breaks so people can pee, right? Like really, 6 weeks of development so people can go pee. That's kind of the way it all worked out.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, it is. But it's the fact is if you had to have the difference between synchronized breaks and progressive knockouts, please synchronized breaks. I gotta pee. Right?
Absolutely.
So that's about setting your priorities, and that's the way it's not. I think that's the way I'm going to run the rest of the company. Is I want to talk to you guys about what you see as priorities, and there'll be some I told you so's, because you guys are going to say, oh, we want this, and I know you really don't want it because we've done that, and everybody, okay, you know what, I'm going to do it anyway, and I'm going to tell you I told you so, and then a month later, a new group of people are going to come in and tell me to do it again, but then I'm going to have developed it. So anyway.
Yeah. So I mean, for everybody out there who's listening, I mean, you have a ACR Stormer streaming every day, doing our home games. If you have ideas, shoot. Oh, Siri came on. Shoot those ideas to us, because we can filter those ideas up through the people we work with at ACR. And yeah, I mean, can they implement every single idea you give us? No, probably not. But we'll certainly make sure they hear it at least. So I don't know too many other sites that are offering to listen that much. So
Yeah.
Yeah, bring those ideas on. Somebody says ACR needs mixed games. I don't play
That's
mixed games,
okay,
but
right? No, it's so like I haven't done things like that because again, I'm kind of trying to look at what people want, and yes, there's some people that want mixed games. Then I also look at like the stars of the world, and mixed games is like 1% of all their games.
right.
So I'd probably put progressive knockouts above mixed games because there's just not that many. But then we'll also look at, maybe progressive knockouts take, a month and mixed games take 4 days. Okay, then I would offer mixed games, right?
Sure.
So we'll kind of sit down and figure out what that is.
Cool.
Uh,
If anybody else has any questions, go ahead and post those in chat. We probably got about 5 more minutes here with Phil before I do exactly what we just talked about.
That's a good question. Does it cost money to have heads-up tables, right? It's something that and it's something that nobody in the industry really talks about, right? Is when somebody uses their credit card to deposit money, it costs money, right? If somebody deposits $100, I only ever receive, call it 90, 87, right? So I'm $13 in the hole before even a card is dealt. So yeah, it's heads up cash games. They were definitely they were not cost effective for the business, right?
Sure.
So it's as a player you don't really think about that because like in a live poker room, it's you have different expenses, but you have expenses. Somebody pulls out cash and they buy in, but you have a light bill and it's chip bills, and you have to pay the dealers. So it's same kind of expenses, just different different names on them. So yeah, that's why I got rid of heads up.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Ghost of M, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to ignore your question, but if you post it again, we'll make sure Phil answers here before we jump off. Oh, here it comes. When players are sitting out, their hands need to be declared dead. That situation. Where essentially if somebody's sitting out and you kind of get it all in, you have to beat the all-in sitting out guy.
Yeah. So there's two different things happening. There's two different things happening there, and this is for those of you who are developers. It's pretty interesting, and for those of you who aren't, you're going to be like, ho hum, just make it happen. So we deal you cards, right? And you're the first person to act. We ping you or ping your computer when it's your turn, right? So if you're sitting, so there's two separate issues. So it's you're sitting out, right, and it says inactive, right? You come back, and we don't actually see that you came back until we get to your turn to act, right? And then the other thing is yes, in a live poker room. If you're not sitting there and your hand's dead, that you don't have to win. That being said, I don't know that you're not sitting there until I get there, right?
Right.
So so have you ever, for those of you who have actually been moved tables and moved to the under the gun, and you're the first person to act, dealt your cards and you're folded before you can sit back in?
Yeah.
Has that ever happened to you?
Yep. Many times.
It's a known timing issue. Right, and the lesser of two evils is if somebody's all in. I just moved you into the big blind. You don't have time to sit back in. I don't want to fold your hand when you're not there. When you actually are there.
Right.
So the lesser of two evils was to put him all in and at least let him win with showdown.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's the technical answer. If that's whether that's the right answer or not, that's what I think this is all going to become. Right? Is we'll have some of these that we're going to address, and we'll have maybe some big pages say, hey, look, here's the house rules. Right? House rule is this, like any other live poker room, and as we come across these rules, we'll make some decisions on them. We'll put it up there, and and we'll make a house rule, and we'll leave it there for a year or 6 months or whatever. And if it becomes an issue and people, pound that drum enough, hey, mark this date on your calendar, we'll revisit this. And if we want to change it, we'll change it.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
I think that's cool.
I like it.
Right?
Definitely.
I like it too.
Well, cool. We're 5 minutes away from the home game kicking off, and it's break time. So I guess we should probably let you get
Time
back
to go
to
walk
work.
the dogs and pee.
Yeah, exactly. All the important
Thank you,
stuff.
guys. Follow us on Twitter. We got one more Twitch tomorrow, and please go put in your input on how to do these refunds. It's because we're going to be stuck with it for 6 months.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, make sure you guys are following on Twitter and everything so you can have your input. And then also, yeah, Phil will be on again tomorrow, same time on Lightning Poker stream. So make sure you guys go check that out if you have more questions for him. That'll be a great opportunity to knock him out. So thanks, Phil. Really appreciate it. Appreciate kind of the all the openness and the honesty. And we look forward to seeing all these new things implemented.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah. Cheers, Phil.
Bye.
All right, everybody. That was cool. A lot of fun having Phil on. I really like Phil. I got to hang with him in Costa Rica when I was down there commentating on the cage. And I just think he's a good dude and a fun dude. So it was really fun to have him on and get some questions answered. And if you guys want to ask him more questions, you'll have an opportunity tomorrow, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as I said. Thanks for all the questions. We're going to take a very quick break. And then we're going to come back for the home game. ! Home game in the chat if you need the details. And we shall be right back. Oh, yeah, I'm also going to get rid of these headphones. I don't need these headphones anymore. But I do need to change my speaker to this one. Click over here. All right, there we go. All right, we will be back. Yeah, absolutely, Ghost of M. Was happy to do it. See you guys in just a minute.